When planning one of the biggest days of your life, so many factors come into play. It takes a concerted effort to develop the ideal color palette, the right balance of consistency, and most importantly, the best representation of you. With that in mind, the same forethought should be included when creating your picture-perfect hair and makeup on your wedding day. I've invited Wendy Morris, owner and lead makeup artist of Blush Asheville, and she's here to give you a glimpse into how she and her staff can kick off your wedding day looking amazing. Thank you so much, Wendy, for being on the show.
Oh, Lisa, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.
There's so many things that come into play when a bride is considering her makeup
Correct.
Along with her hair. How long, Wendy, have you been in business?
I have been a makeup artist since about 2004, and the Blush label, the Blush company really started up about 2009. So we have been in this business for a long time.
So you've seen a lot, and I'm sure you have stories to tell.
I know, we do, but we keep them in our little pocket. It's amazing the stories we have, but they're beautiful stories. They're fun stories. They're laughable, some of them. And, wedding days are just classic.
It's one of those things that when the bride looks back, you definitely want to be a part of that, where she's smiling, thinking, wow, that was a great experience.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. That's our goal.
Start talking about something that I find that a lot of brides aren't clear as to the importance of. And that's why I wanted to ask you about why it's essential to scheduling a trial run with makeup, and how far in advance should a bride make that appointment?
I'll start with your second question first. I think that we really prefer to do a trial run 3 to 4 months before your wedding. You have your hair pieces, you have your veil, you have your dress, you have your color palette of flowers, you have your bridesmaids' dresses colors all picked out, and you just have your all-around palette all together. Now, I completely understand that a lot of our brides do not live in the Asheville area, which is completely understandable. So if we have to do it later out, we can absolutely do that. But we recommend 3 to 4 months. Why is it essential? I think it is. It is not a end all if they don't do it. I know some women are just so busy, but it is essential if you can, because we really want to see how the makeup wears. We want to see how the hair holds up after a couple of hours. If it's 90 degrees, we want to know if that makeup moved a little bit. We want to know if that hair fell a little bit, so we know what to pin more. At the trial, also, we can nail down the lip color, where we recommend the bride buying the full size lip color that we use. I mean, we do provide samples for touch-ups, but if they do have their full size lip products, it's always easier to have for touch-ups the day of the wedding. As well as at the trial, we discuss whatever else you would need for touch-ups when we see exactly what we do for the face and for the hair. And that's just a great time for us also to get to know the bride and get to know their family, get to know the friends that we're going to be in contact with that day. So all in all, it's just great to just start the communication, and they can see what the hair and makeup's going to look like. If we need to tweak, we absolutely can.
Should the bride bring her whole entourage to her trial run?
No. A lot of them bring their mom or their maid of honor. I would say one person is great. When you get in a room with 4 to 6 women, there's a lot of opinions, and we need to make the bride happy. The bride ultimately is our client. We don't want to sway or have them swayed by other voices. I mean, that's fine if we get recommendations, but all in all, we want that client to be happy and our bride to be happy. So I always recommend definitely one person coming with you. If not, that's okay. But yeah, bring along your bestie or your mom. I think that also helps.
What is a typical session length with your bride?
Typical is an hour. Sometimes it could be an hour and a half, but absolutely, an hour for hair and then an hour for makeup is allotted. So I would say no more than 2 hours tops.
What do you suggest for the bride to bring with her for her trial run?
I say you have to bring a picture of your dress that you already bought. We recommend that you already have your dress before your trial run, because don't bring the dress. Just bring us a picture, because if you don't have your dress, you really don't know how you want your hair. There's so many different cuts of a wedding gown, whether it's, up on the neck or lower. So it definitely helps to have a picture of your dress to show us. I would bring your veil, any jewelry that you're going to wear that day. I always recommend women not wearing a collared shirt, because if you do get an updo for your trial, if you have a collared shirt, it's going to mess with that lower part in the back, and it's going to fall. It's going to kind of get messy, and we really want to see how it's going to stay. I recommend, if they can, if it's summer, warmer, even wearing a white tank top, show a little bit of skin. So there you can see the pop of the makeup and the hair all together with the jewelry, the veil, and any hair pieces that they have.
One of the things that I suggest as a tip to my brides is when it comes to hair, when they are standing at the altar, if they are on the left, the right-hand side of the head will be facing the guest most of the time.
Correct.
So as far as from hair perspective, if there's more drama that's going on with your hair, some sort of a sweep over to that side, that's where that hairstylist needs to make sure that it's doing a lot of that creative work there as opposed to the opposite side. So that's a good thing for brides to let you know in advance, depending on where you're standing. And that helps you during that trial to help her out with that.
Correct. And we really want, if there's a jewelry piece that is very sentimental to them, you want it to go in that right side. So that's why it's so essential and so important to bring anything and everything that you have to bling up, your hair for that day.
Okay. I hate to have to ask this question, but it does come up. When you have that bride, and I'm not going to call her a picky bride, but a bride should be vocal during her trial. Walk through some of the things that you want her to ask regarding makeup during that session.
I know the first thing that I ask when they sit down is, how much makeup do you wear on an everyday basis? Because as a makeup artist, there's women that want to have 5 products on their face, and there's women that want to have 15. If a bride and a woman sits in my chair that wears 5 products on her face every day, she is going to freak out over 20 to 25 products. She is going to feel overly done. She's going to feel uncomfortable. And that is the last thing we want. So I have to gauge the level of makeup that needs to go on. I think we live in a very Pinterest world when it comes to hair and makeup. Social media, we get Pinterest pictures. What really helps me personally is if they go on to our Instagram or our website and screenshot pictures of work that we have done that they love, instead of pictures from Pinterest and magazines and things like that. They are helpful, but it does help to know that, hey, we did this. I'm so glad you love this. We can absolutely recreate this. Just because all in all, we want to make them happy at the trial, because if they leave from a trial hesitant, then we didn't do our job.
So basically, you want to hear the feedback and you're not
Correct.
Taking it personal.
That's what I'm saying. No, ma'am, we want to hear the feedback. Absolutely. You're correct. And I say, if there's anything you want to change, you are not going to hurt my feelings. But I don't want to get a phone call, unfortunately, from a planner the next day saying, hey, she really just didn't like the hair, or didn't like the way the hair fell a little bit, or, on the left side. And I'm like, great. The, falling of the hair is okay, because we can absolutely fix that on the wedding day. But with the makeup and everything, when they tell me that they love it on the day of the trial and don't speak up, and then I hear from the planner that she really wants to change a couple of things, and have another trial because she just didn't like it. That's just is what's confusing, where this is what the trial is for. Like, if we need to try 15 lipsticks, by God, I'm going to try 15 lipsticks because I want you happy. you know? And there is some picky brides. There are some particular brides. I've had numerous trials with one bride before just because they want to see a natural makeup, like, and see how it lasts all day. And then they want to see a more dramatic look. We can absolutely do that. So if you have to schedule a second trial, we absolutely can. But all in all, it is our job to make sure you going into your wedding day, you are 100% in love with the way your hair and makeup is going to look.
And with that switch up of one look for the ceremony and maybe
Right?
something a little more heavier or different look, more dramatic
Yep.
look for the reception, you all can stay along for those touch-ups. Walk us through that process.
That is correct. That is an additional service that we do offer. Personally, I think it is especially when you're getting married at a venue like Asheville. Of course, we have the Biltmore. A lot of brides have to be ready at 2:30 p.m. and their ceremony's not till like 6 or 6:30. Well, it could be 90 something degrees outside. So we do offer a service where we stay and provide touch-ups. So therefore, you're perfect. Your hair and makeup is perfect for your beginning pictures. At 2 and 2:30, and then we come back and touch up everything right before you walk down the aisle. And then if they do want to change the look, then of course we'll stay. Basically, it is an hourly service that we do offer, and that's just something that's negotiated, of course, at the time of contract. But I think it's a great service for makeup and hairstylists to offer, because you're right, it could be hot. I mean, every bride's going to have to touch up.
Well, with the tears of joy alone.
I know. You have to have a few Q-tips. You got to have your lip color because you're going to be kissing your partner. So it's just essential. You have to have touch-ups. But again, back to the trial, that's what's so great about a trial run is that we can go over the products that you need to have on hand just in case you don't book, the touch-up services for your hair and makeup.
So if I'm the type of bride where I have a liquid foundation that I have been wearing for years that I absolutely love,
Yep.
and I hand over to you and say, Wendy, I want to use this, but you can use everything else in your case. How do you feel about that?
You know what? You do you. Absolutely. This is our job. They are our client. So our job is to make them happy. So if they want to use a foundation that they have and they love, all power to you. But the only time I don't agree with that if it's the wrong color of foundation, because like I want them to look good. I am putting my blush stamp on their face. So if they bring me a color that's 2.5 shades darker or 2.5 shades lighter, I'm just going to have to educate them, say that's great, but we need to find you a new color. Yes, I don't mind that though.
Tell me about clean makeup. I hear about this all splashed on the internet, on TV. Tell me about clean makeup and what it is.
It's becoming more and more important to a lot of women. Clean beauty is defined by the products that are created and produced without any kind of toxic ingredients. So I'm talking about talc, parabens, petroleum. Honestly, Lisa, there's a lot of just junk in a lot of makeup and skincare out there. The clean beauty makeup, it just includes ingredients that are usually ethically sourced. It is proven that some of these products can harm our bodies hormonally and reproductively. So honestly, it's a great thing that's happening because I think the people are realizing some of the stuff that is in their makeup and they're getting rid of it, and it's awesome.
What are your feelings about airbrush makeup? And I have a feeling you're going to jump on top of this like nothing else.
Okay. For Blush Asheville, we do not airbrush. But I think the key factor in amazing wedding day makeup is honestly the person behind the service, the person that is doing the makeup, whether it is airbrushed or whether it is traditional. Airbrush is a fine mist of air that pushes out the color through a small gun attached to an air compressor. And some people won't understand this, but there's airbrush pods and there's also liquid foundations that is basically sprayed on. I prefer traditional. I am a blender. I just like to blend colors to match the face perfectly. I will never bash an airbrush, artist or anything like that. I think that you have to be trained in airbrush to make sure it's perfect. I personally don't prefer it, but people love it, and that is absolutely their choice. I say, you know what? If you're questioning it, have a trial with an airbrush artist and then have a trial with us and see which one you like better.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What about eyelashes that
Mhm.
are the magnetic eyelashes
Yes.
that are out there?
Yes.
Can you clear up what that is?
Sure. So these lashes, you can go into CVS, you can go into Target, look at it. They have little magnets that there's a couple of different ones. They have some that one goes on the top of that top lash and one goes under it, and it just magnetizes and clips together basically on that top lash. They've also created a liquid liner that is magnetic where the lash sticks to the liner. It's crazy. I personally do not recommend them for weddings
Oh,
just because the liquid liner from my personal use after about 6 to 7 hours, or if you tear up or if you sweat, if that liquid liner moves, then that lash is coming off. So I don't recommend them for weddings. I recommend them for fun parties at night, things like that for guests, but not for a bride and a bridal party, for sure.
if you could inherit skills from 3 individuals, what would they be and how would you use them to help the world?
Help the world. Okay. I think one would be time management. I definitely feel like I am good with scheduling, but I think as business owners in the world, and we constantly, especially in the wedding industry, I find that we're working at 9 in the morning and then we're working at 9 at night and we're working at 10 p.m., or 6 in the morning emailing our clients. But we do it because we love it. But I think time management is something that I just still continue to strive for, to just improve that skill, because we all, we have families, we have friends that we have to tend to. And that skill is just so pertinent, I think, in our industry, that we just need to manage our time to just not have to overdo it and not having to be working at 11 p.m. and 9 p.m. So I think that definitely would help. That's number one, time management. Number two, I'd probably say active listening. I think as a woman, I'm not actually talking about every woman actually out there. We just like to voice our opinion and possibly a lot faster than we should. So I know, me personally, a skill that I need more of is more listening, because even if my husband is talking, I just absolutely interrupt. It's just like, oh, wait a minute, let's try this. And I need to just stop and I need to start listening more. And that's a skill that I need a little bit more of. I'll just be honest. So that would be two. And I think number three would be just more lifestyle, health conscious skills. I turned 40 this past year, and it just showed me some things that I needed to change. I actually started using a lot of clean makeup and clean skincare. I joined a company working for them as well. So I really became a lot more conscious about what was going into my body and onto my skin. So I think just lifestyle skills, that just sharing those, and just, I think all in all, it also helps just it out all in the world, because I think everybody just needs to start taking better care of themselves. It was a crazy year with COVID, obviously, last year. So I think we just got to be a healthier, better self this year.
When it comes to time management, I know that you and your staff can arrive at the location as early as 7 a.m. What is the earliest can you remember that you have arrived on set?
I would probably say about 5. They start really early with those weddings and Indian weddings. You have to come back and redo a lot of the hair and makeup because they want a completely different look. And those days are exhausting, but they are so much fun.
I find that a group of my brides, some of them are under the impression of, I'll wake up early in the morning around 8 and we can just start hair and makeup around
Right.
10:30. And to this day, I've yet to have anyone start 10:30 in the morning for a wedding at any point in time, regardless of the time of the
Right.
ceremony. So I just wanted to debunk the myth that hair and makeup should just start
Right.
mid-morning or anything. It is an early day. It is an early morning.
But I also think that this is actually very important for people to know. I think it's also important for people and makeup and hair teams to realize that it is quality over quantity. So I know with Blush, if we have a larger party, we automatically add the number of artists that basically is going to make the day smoother. I will absolutely never send somebody out for 6 to 7 people on their own if everybody has to be ready, by like 12 o'clock. I will send 2.
Mm-hmm.
You're not providing the quality of makeup if you have to start so early. So, that is something that we also communicate with our brides, that we would rather have additional artists and start later so the makeup and hair can be fresher than start 6 hours before to have everybody ready. So I think it's very important to provide the quality of service for that client.
One last question, Wendy, for you. When it comes to hair and makeup, should the bride be the very first person that you start with or the very last person, or she's somewhere in the middle?
I always go last, or I always go say you are going to be the one right before last, the second to last. But it also depends on who is getting makeup, because if your grandmother or an aunt or a friend is contracted for makeup and hair, they can go after the bride's all done and the whole bridal party's ready. So that's something that we do work with our bride about, saying, hey, who needs to be ready at 2? And then who needs to be ready at 4? So we definitely want the bride to go last whenever they need to be ready by. So we just gauge it right there.
This has been so informative, and I can't thank you enough for being able to provide your words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Wendy.
You are so welcome, love. Thank you. I hope to see you soon.
And how can people reach you?
We are on Instagram at Blush Asheville. We have a website at blushasheville.com. We have all social media platforms, so you can just reach out that way.
Thanks for listening to Busy Bride 101, wedding planning tips for the bride on the go. To keep up with us and learn more tips, follow us on Instagram and on our YouTube channel at Busy Bride 101. Subscribe to get notified of new episodes and to share with your friends. Always remember, your wedding is for the two of you.